Ever wondered? Anything we do, we talk, we work, we play, it all happens in very coordinated way. But how even this coordination is possible? This coordination is possible because of very amazing system of our body, that is nervous system. And the basic structural and functional unit of that nervous system is neuron. And neuron is very fundamental unit of nervous system, and it is specialized for transmitting information throughout the body. And today we are going to talk about its structure. Hi there, Dr. Sadaf Qureshi here, and today we are going to talk about the structure of neuron. Structure of neuron is fundamentally divided into three parts. The first we have dendrites, then we have cell body, and then we have axon. And we also have axon terminals that are actually the part of axon. And now we'll talk about each structure one by one and see how that structure helps in the functionality of neuron. The first structure we are going to talk about is dendrites. As you can see in the diagram, the colored part of the neuron is showing the dendrites. Let's enlarge this diagram and we will talk about the dendrites. Dendrites are also called as receptive zone, as from there the information is received, and the information may be in the form of neurotransmitter in the chemical synapse and electrical signal in the electrical synapse. If we talk about the structure of dendrites, they are short branch-like extensions of soma or cell body, and their function is to receive signal from other neurons and transmit them to the cell body. And that signal will be further transmitted to the axon. If we talk about the membrane or the plasma membrane of dendrites, it has some ligand-gated ion channels on them. And these ligand-gated ion channels may be stimulatory if they cause depolarization of the neuron, but they may be inhibitory if they cause hyperpolarization of the neuron. And the plasma membrane of dendrite also have G protein coupled receptor that when activated produce second messengers that activate protein kinases, and that will consequently cause phosphorylation of some protein. As a result, there will be hyperpolarization or repolarization depending on the type of signal. The second structure we are going to talk about is cell body. As you can see in the diagram, the colored part of the neuron is cell body. Let's enlarge this diagram and we will talk about cell body. Cell body contains nucleus, cytoplasm, and organelles like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum of neuron is very important, and it is also called as nasal granule. It acts as a control center, integrating incoming signals and generating outgoing signal. Apart from this, cell body also perform all the metabolic functioning of the cell and the synthetic functioning of the cell, that are anything required by neuron cell will be produced in the cell body of the neuron. In a cell body, the stimulus may be a threshold level if it activates the axon or if it depolarizes the axonal membrane. But if the cell stimulus do not depolarize or hyperpolarize the cell membrane of axon, then that type of stimulus is called as subthreshold level. To activate the axon in the form of hyperpolarization or depolarization, the stimulant must be on the threshold level. Another important structure in the cell body is the nucleus, that is located in the cell body, and it contains genetic material of the neuron. Its function is to regulate cellular activity and protein synthesis. Another important structure in the cell body is cytoskeleton, that is composed of microtubules and neurofilaments. It provides structural support and aids in transport of material within the neuron. Then the second and third part we are going to talk about neuron is axon. The colored part and diagram of the neuron is showing the axon part of neuron. Let's enlarge this diagram and we will talk about axon. Axon is long tube-like structure that extends from cell body, and its function is to conduct electrical impulses away from the cell body to other neurons or effector cells. Effector cells may be any glandular cells or maybe muscle cells. Then we have another important structure associated with axon, that is axon hillock. Axon hillock is where the cell body is connected to axon. It is important because there are high concentration of voltage gated sodium channel. Here if you see, this part of axon where cell body is connecting with the axon is axon hillock. Then we have another important structure of axon, that is axonal transport mechanism, that is made up of microtubules and motor proteins. Motor proteins may be kinesin or dynein. Axonal transport may be of two types: anterograde transport if the transport is from cell body towards the axonal terminals, and that is mediated by motor proteins that are kinesin. And that other type of axonal transport may be retrograde transport. If it is from the axonal terminal to the cell body, then that type of transport is retrograde transport, and it is mediated by motor proteins that are dynein. Then we have important axon structure, that are axon terminals. They are small bulb-like structure at the end of axon. Here you can see small bulb-like structure at the end of axons or axon terminals. Their function is to release neurotransmitter into synapse to communicate with other neurons. Then we have another important structure that may be associated with axon is myelin sheath. That is a fatty insulating layer surrounding the axon formed by squamous cells in the peripheral nervous system or oligodendrocytes in the central nervous system. As you can see, these yellow cells are squamous cells and in the peripheral nervous system, and they may be oligodendrocyte if the neuron is in the central nervous system. Their function is to increase the speed of signal transmission and prevent the signal loss. On the basis of myelin sheath present, the neuron may be myelinated neuron or it may be the non-myelinated neuron. Then we have another important structure associated with axon that are called as nodes of Rennewer. That are basically gaps in myelin sheath along the axon, and these structures are present in myelinated neurons because they are basically the gaps in myelin sheath along the axon, and their function is to facilitate rapid signal conduction through the saltatory conduction. Then we have important structures associated with axon ends or terminal axon, that is synapse, that is junction between axon terminal of one neuron and the dendrite of another. Their function is to facilitate chemical electrical communication between neurons. If that synapse is chemical synapse, that communication will be through the chemical signal or neurotransmitter. But if the synapse is electrical synapse, that communication will be through the electrical signals. So this was all about the parts of neurons. We talked about dendrites and its function, cell body and its function and its important structure. Then we also talked about axons and important terms related to it, and axon terminals we also talked about. So this was all about the structure of neuron. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you liked the video. If you liked, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment.